Is the media reporting the wrong average life expectancy in America? Welcome to Retirement Revealed. I'm your host, Jeremy Keil, and we're here to turn your retirement savings into retirement income. Today, we're talking about a new article with some surprising details around one of the most important numbers when it comes to your retirement planning, which is life expectancy. Now, why do I talk about life expectancy? Why do I personally find it so riveting? It's because life expectancy is the number one biggest risk to your retirement. If you happen to die before your life expectancy, that's no fun. You didn't have fun. It's bad for the survivor. If you lived longer than your life expectancy, that might not be fun either because you might not have enough money. I listened to Moshe Milevsky once give a great speech. He's a great retirement researcher. And he said inflation is the biggest risk because it's the great risk multiplier. All the other risks that are out there get worse because of longevity. If you're worried about inflation and you live longer, inflation has more time to affect you. If you're worried about the market going up and down and you live longer, then the stock market going up and down has more time, more opportunities to affect you. That's why Moshe Milevsky says longevity is the great risk multiplier. Now, when it comes to longevity, life expectancy, another big deal is it's the number one input into some of your big decisions. How long you live or don't live determines whether you're taking Social Security or you're waiting on Social Security was a good choice. If you have a 10-year retirement or a 40-year retirement, then you should really invest differently because you have a different time horizon. And the final piece of why life expectancy is so important, so riveting to me, is that it's your belief about your longevity that influences virtually every one of your retirement decisions. If you think you will die soon, you will retire sooner than perhaps average. If you think you'll live a long time, that will affect how you take Social Security and how you spend your money. So getting your life expectancy or longevity is what I like to call it. So getting your longevity correct is probably the most important thing you can do with your retirement math. And I like to say, learn the math, do the math, follow the math. And I just learned some updated math on longevity. Really, it's not updating. It's just a clarification of what these life expectancies are talking about. And I know what you're thinking because I hear it all the time. You can't predict how long you'll live, so why bother? And you're right. You cannot predict how long you'll live. You'll never know, but you can project. And when you project, you can find the probabilities. And when you're making your retirement choices, would you rather take a high probability or a low probability choice? If you know the probabilities, you can start making better decisions and you can start to think about the risks if your number is wrong. And your number, your belief about how long you're going to live will be wrong. If you think it's a certain age that you'll live, let's just say it's 80, there's only a 3% chance that you'll actually die at 80, right? The odds of you dying in that exact year are incredibly low. 3% is close to zero, right? That's what it is. So I'm reading the Wall Street Journal and I see this article called The Surprisingly Good News on Life Expectancy. It's still going up. So I want to read it because I love learning the math and I know how important life expectancy is. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's behind a paywall. But then I researched some further and found out the article is based on a blog by Eugene Storley. Now that blog there's no paywall there. So I'll put that in the show notes too. Eugene's blog subtitle is "What You Read About Life Expectancy is Quite Misleading." And I won't get too crazy technical, but I'll get a little technical because it's worth it. Because the number you see for life expectancy in the newspaper is wrong by 6 years. It's absolutely flat out wrong. Everyone in the article says it's wrong. And the difference here, this is the technical part, is the difference between something called the period life expectancy or the cohort life expectancy. All right, so here's a difference. Period says, all right, take last year and let's look at every single age, and let's look at the death rate by the age, right? This is fun stuff. We're talking death rates today, but think of it. So newborn, what are the odds they die? A 1-year-old, what are the odds they die? All the way up till you're like 121, right? What are the odds that all these different individuals die based on age? Then they just multiply it all together, and it gets a life expectancy for that one period, that 1 year. It's as if you lived your entire year during that 1 year. That's like a Benjamin Button kind of thing, just not in reverse, right? You just have your whole year lived in 1 year. You don't live your entire life in 1 year. What you really need is something called the cohort life expectancy, where if you were born in 1960, what's your life expectancy? Going through and experiencing 1961 and 1981 and 2020 and the next 5, 10, 50 years, right? What's your life expectancy based on that? So that's what you really need to focus on. That's what demographers use. That's what actuaries use. That's not what the newspaper uses, right? They use this period life expectancy that says what happened last year in this made-up world where you lived your entire life in that one specific year. And when you look at the differences, the same people, Social Security is running the same numbers twice. They look at the period life expectancy, they look at the cohort life expectancy. The demographers, when they look at those two differences, it is a 6-year difference, where the actual life expectancy, what they should be reporting, is 6 years higher than what this thing called period life expectancy is. Now, why is this a problem? Right? We've been talking about this for years, this life expectancy, that life expectancy at birth, when it's actually not at birth. It's something called period life expectancy. I don't know. I can't blame a journalism, right? Journalists. Good luck explaining period life expectancy in a 5-word headline. So you just say life expectancy at birth. Why is this a problem that it's wrong? Well, it's just plain wrong. It's wrong by 6 years. It's not 78 like you might read. It's 84. And then it says life expectancy at birth, which is not actually true, but let's just assume it is life expectancy at birth. This we've talked about before, where you weren't born yesterday. You are listening to a podcast about retirement planning. You're probably around 60 years old. You've beat the odds, right? If you were to look at the life expectancy of a newborn, they have to account for what happens if you don't make it to 18 or 38 or 58, but you've made it past those. You've got to look at your longevity, your life expectancy from today, and that's a different number. So not only is the number reported wrong, but it's not based on your reality of how old you are right now. Now, we've talked about that. This is news to me of how wrong it is when you see the reportings that are out there. But when it comes to life expectancy, the biggest piece of it is you need to make sure it's personalized. And this is just more proof, yet again, that you need to go out and get your own personalized longevity estimate at longevityillustrator.org. Your knowledge about what your longevity looks like, what your remaining life expectancy is likely to be, is going to affect your decisions about when you retire, how much you might spend in retirement, what you do with your pension and Social Security, what you might do with your survivorship options. This might affect how you look at and make choices that are going to affect your spouse. So this is news yet again of how you need to go out and get a personalized longevity estimate. I'm encouraging you to do that right now. Go to longevityillustrator.org. It's probably the most important number. It takes 2 minutes to do, to go out and figure out. This is important math that will help you when you're retirement planning, because it's huge. This life expectancy number that you read in the newspaper is wrong. If you rely on that, you're going to make a big mistake, and you only get one shot at retirement. We want you to avoid mistakes. We want you to pay lower taxes, get more income in retirement, and this longevity is a big piece of it. Thank you for listening to the Retirement Revealed podcast. We believe if you know more about your money, you will feel better about your money, and you will make better money decisions.